Yo, 1997 Honda Civic Turbo. I was running this car around a couple of weeks ago and it was running lean at low RPMs. It was misfiring, cruising down the freeway, it felt like. And then all of a sudden out of the blue it just started running okay. Kind of felt the same way as if my dead times were off. It was idling pretty rough. Then I let it sit for a couple of weeks and the battery went dead. I got 0.24 amps, so I got a good parasitic draw here. Normal parasitic draw on a car should be 0.06 amps or less, 6 milliamps. I got a load tester here. It says my battery's charged enough, 12.5 volts. I can load test this thing. Get it down to 12.5 volts, and it's at about my amperage is bouncing all around from, I don't know, 25 to 50. It should be 70 amps. Now it's working. Obviously, I got an intermittent problem with my alternator. The last time I started it was making some funny noises too. It seems to be pretty quiet today. So I think I got a temperamental alternator. I disconnected my alternator and I still got a draw of some kind. I took one screw out of this 40 amp maxi fuse and I can pull it up out of the way so it's not making a connection, and I got no draw. Maybe I gotta let this sit for a minute and see if it falls asleep. Well, I figured it out. This doesn't really have a parasitic draw of any kind. Maybe my battery just had a low charge when I parked it. I closed the hood and everything's good. So it's my aftermarket alarm that's doing that stuff. There's a 10 millimeter on the alternator back there. I got out with a long extension and a swivel socket, and I disconnected the plug on the alternator. There's a 12 millimeter right here that I need to get off. Of course, I have the negative terminal disconnected for this procedure. Now I'm under the car. I have a 14 millimeter right here. I should be able to loosen this belt up, get it out of the way. I have a little baby bracket right here. And there's an 8 millimeter on that. And I got that out of the way. That connector and this 10 millimeter you can get at from the bottom if you want. Now I gotta run this stud out of here. Then I can lift the alternator out of this bracket. I guess I'll be prying that out a little bit. Now I got this alternator bracket in my way. 14 millimeter on that. I can get that bracket out of the way. And I should be able to sneak this alternator out. I just gotta roll it around a bit to try to get it just right. It'll come out of here somehow. I've done this before. There it goes. As you can see, I loosened this bracket up just enough to make it a little bit loose and floppy. And I'll tighten that bolt back up when I get the alternator back in. Can barely read the label, but unbelievably enough, this is an original Mitsubishi alternator. I got about 230,000 miles on this car. This thing finally puked out on me. I went on Rock Auto and I bought an alternator and a starter. I'm gonna put both of these in. WAI, I've never heard of these people before. It's Chinese. They talk themselves up on Rock Auto really well. So I'm gonna give this one a try. Almost every alternator you get now is either new from China or remanufactured from Mexico or something. So it's almost impossible to find a Japanese starter and alternator on this. I think if I did find one, they'd be about $400. I don't think Denso's getting much better anymore either. That used to be the go-to, but they're getting kind of funny. This is fun too. I'm looking at this thing here. Computer tested alternator. It's supposed to be a 70 amp alternator, and it says right there it's at 90 amps. We'll see if they're lying or not. It is new, it's not remanufactured. Looks decent enough. This bracket can go bye-bye. Oh, that's on there really tight. Jam this back up there. See if I can do this without a fuss. This alternator's nice and tight, don't want to fit in there real good. This sleeve is made to move. I can hit that with a hammer a couple of times, and then I got a lot of clearance in here. All of these 14 millimeters get torqued to 33 foot-pounds. Might as well put my belt on. Now I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to start that bolt for the adjuster on top. I can try to tighten that bracket bolt way up there now to my 33 foot-pounds. Probably be a little easier to do with this belt not in my way. Put my belt back on again. These dust boots can be a little pain in the butt, so I just stick my thumb inside of here and turn the boot inside out like that. That way I should be able to put this on without a fuss. I'll tighten that when I go upstairs too. Plug that alternator connector in. I'm going to use the original bolt and bracket for this. They give you a bracket and a screw. Well, a Phillips screw's kind of retarded for this, so I'm not putting that back in. I wouldn't tighten this any more than probably 6 foot-pounds. I'm just going to do it by hand and not get it too tight. I have a really long extension and a swivel socket for this. This gets tightened to about 8 foot-pounds. And I can put this dust boot back on. Okay, I got the bottom bolt and the top bolt still a little bit loose, and the bummer about these is there's no real adjuster on this. So I gotta find a good way to pry on this without damaging the alternator. I like to try to put the pry bar on the center of the alternator because then I know I'm not gonna be breaking any fins or anything. And I can tighten this down to 33 foot-pounds. And then I can check this belt. I should be able to turn it about 1/4 of a turn, and that should be about right. I'm just going to go up top and I'm going to tighten up that top bolt. That gets tightened to about 14 foot-pounds. And obviously if you hear any belt noises, one of these belts will be too loose. Like about 80 amps. I'm going to turn all of my accessories on. Turn my blower motor on high. Turn my AC on. 4-ways. Wipers. Headlights. High beams. Oh, forgot one. Rear defrost. My fuel trim just went a hair lean. Usually that's all about the dead times. See what happens when I hit my brakes? Nothing really. It just corrected. Right at 12 volts. I'm going to give it a little gas. Right at 12 and a half. Of course, both of my fans are on too. That's not bad. I'll turn everything back off. Went right back up to 14 volts. This alternator will pass. Believe it or not, that's the way most Honda Civics work. You turn everything on in the car at an idle, it'll drop below 12.5 volts. I took this to O'Reilly's for fun and had it tested. It failed. So I was right about something. That's my video. Okay, bye.